Ever wonder how supermarkets are able to keep fresh food for us every day? I'm going to be going over some important details on how crops that are being grown for us and how they are genetically modified and the reasons for it. First of all, let's go over DNA. Okay, so what is DNA? It's a deoxyribonucleic acid. It's a complex molecule that contains all of the information necessary to build and maintain an organism, just like this one. It's a two-strand molecule that contains four basic building blocks. Those four right there on the picture. All life has its own DNA. So then what is GMO? GMO is a genetic modification organism. There are plants used in agriculture that DNA of which has been modified using genetic engineering techniques. In most cases, they are introducing a new trait to a plant that it does not naturally possess. For some examples are resistant to certain pests, disease, environmental conditions, reduction of spoilage, resistance to chemical treatments, or improving the nutrient of the crop. First modified crop was produced in 1982, an antibiotic-resistant tobacco plant. In 1986, the first field trial took place in USA and France, when the plants were engineered for herbicide resistance. In 1987, the plant genetics system, founded by Mark Van Montagu and Jeff Schnell, was the first company that genetically engineered insect-resistant tobacco plants by adding genes that produce insecticidal proteins from a bacteria named Bacillus thuringiensis, aka BT. Alright, let me show you another example of what that is. This is the bacteria put into the genes, then made the plant. Then that guy tried to eat it, and he died. First genetically modified crop approved for sale in the US in 1994 was the Flavor Saver tomato. This is show it right here. Obviously this is the natural one, and the others are not. It had a longer shelf life because it took longer to soften after ripening. In 1995, the BT potato was approved by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, making it the country's first pesticide-producing crop. Mid of 1996, a total of 35 approvals have been made, granted to commercially grow 8 transgenic crops and 1 flower crop, with 8 different traits in 6 countries. Alright, the modified crops. Here are some examples right here. You can see that good? Alright, it's going to be alfalfa, tolerance for glyphosate, apples to delay browning, canola, tolerance of glyphosate, corn, tolerance of herbicides, glyphosate, and insect resistance. Cotton is insect resistance, eggplant insect resistance, papaya resistance to the papaya ring spot virus, potato resistant to the potato beetle, leaf roll virus, and potato virus. Rice is enriched with the beta carotene, a source of vitamin A. Soybeans, tolerance for glyphosate, kills susceptible insect, pests, and viral resistant. Squash, resistant to yellow mosaic viruses. Sugarcane, resistant to pesticide resistance or tolerance. Sweet peppers resistant to mosaic virus, and tomatoes suppressed of the enzyme, giving it longer shelf life. Alright, and let's see the development. The number of USDA approvals field releases for tests grew from 4 in 1985 to 1,200 in 2002, releasing the agronomic properties such as drought resistant jumped from 1,000 in 2005 to 5,000 in 2013. As of 2013, about 7,800 releases have been approved. For corn, more than 2,200 for soybeans, more than 1,000 for cotton, and 900 for potatoes. All approved by herbicide tolerance, insect resistance, product quality, agronomic properties like drought resistance, and fungal and viral resistance. Alright, now let's go over some traits. The Flavor Saver tomato was genetically modified for it to have longer shelf life. No longer on the market though. In November 2014, the USDA approved a GM potato that prevents bruising. In February 2015, the Arctic apples were approved by the USDA, becoming the first GM apple approved for sale in the US. The modification prevented the apple from browning after it was sliced. Alright. So some GM soybeans offer improved oil profiles for processing or healthier eating, which they're all edible oils. Camelina sativa has been modified to produce plants that accumulate high levels of oil similar to fish oils. And also, they started enriching crops. Like golden rice provides greater amount of vitamin A, as well as corn also with vitamin A and including vitamin C. Now let's see, how did they do this? They have different methods. Genetically engineered crops have genes added or removed using genetic engineering techniques, which include gene guns that shoot directly high energy particles or radiation against targeted genes into plant cells. This is the most common method. Here's a photo of what it looks like. Second method is the electroplantation. It is used when the plant tissue does not contain cell walls. In this technique, DNA enters the plant cells through miniature pores, which are temporarily caused by electric pulses. Another method, well, first let me show you a picture of that. This is what it looks like. Another method is the microinjection, which is directly injects the gene into the DNA. Looks like this. Pretty simple. The last method, but also common like the gun or the gene gun method, is the agrobacterium method, which agrobacteria are natural plant parasites and their ability to transfer genes into a plant's host. Just like this. Alright, mod types. There are a couple modification types. Transgenic plants are genes inserted into them that are derived from another species. The genes can come from the same kingdom, plant to plant, or between kingdoms like bacteria to plants. Since genetic plants are made using genes found within the same species or closely related one, whereas conventional plant breeding can occur. In 1999, the most prevalent GM trait was the glyphosate resistance. The glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup and other herbicide products, kill plants. Developing crops that could withstand spraying the glyphosate would reduce the environmental and health risks and give an agricultural edge to the farmer. Tobacco, corn, rice, and many other crops have been engineered to express genes, encoding for insecticidal proteins for Bacillus thuringiensis. The introduction of Bt crops during the period between 1996 and 2005 have been estimated to have reduced the total volume of insecticidal active ingredient use in the U.S. by over 100,000 tons. Farmers generally use less insecticidal when the plant Bt-resistant crops are being grown. The less they need to use the insecticide puts the farmer out of risk from either breathing or getting it on their skin. By leaving at least 30% of the crop residue on the soil surface from the harvest through the planting, conservation tillage reduces the soil erosion from wind and water, increasing water retention and reducing soil degradation, as well as water and chemical runoff. And I'll show you one more photo with it, different steps and modifications. The regulations of genetic engineering concerns the approaches taken by the governments to manage the risks associated with the development and release of GM crops. Regulation varies in a given country, depending on the intent use of each product. Farmers have widely adopted GM technologies between 1996 and 2013. The total surface area of the land cultivated with GM crops increased by a factor of 100, from 4,200,000 to 432 million acres. This will continue to keep growing over the years. So this is how and why we get fresh food constantly in our supermarkets, because most of it is genetically modified. Thank you.